concepts that are in there, and especially having a theme like that of purpose, and that there's a reason. I think that is so important these days.
It's very important. Just gives you hope for a light at the end of the tunnel,
Yeah.
which is always there. Just sometimes it just takes time to come, but it does come, always
Yeah.
comes.
Yeah. That's an excellent point. Um, who would you say your book would appeal to, and why?
I would say, really, my book appeals to most age groups. I feel when I wrote it, I felt as I was writing, I didn't feel like exactly there was one specific age group.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought there was all elements in the entire story, which could be fed to all different age groups and all anyone from any background. So I think it's just the whole entirety can be its target audience.
Yeah. Yeah, and it sounds like anybody who's interested in that hero's journey, or interested in being drawn into a book and being able to really enjoy it seems like it would appeal to those people as well.
Yeah, because I mean, I've had people read it that from my village,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not even huge on on fantasy novels,
Mm-hmm.
but they read it because they knew me, and even though they weren't huge on fantasy, they absolutely loved it and couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really great feedback to get.
Yeah, I'm sure. And so, what are you most proud of as it relates to your book?
Um, what I'm most proud of is just, well, the thing that makes me most proud is the fact that not only did I write a book, but even all the elements is all my work. Even the artwork on the front, that design of the key is even all my drawings
Oh
that I
yeah.
designed. So everything, and it came out better than I could ever have hoped for. So pat on my back, I've done a brilliant job for myself. Really
Oh
good
yeah.
job.
That's amazing. I saw the cover. I didn't know you designed that. So yeah, that is amazing. That is.
Yeah, I had visions in my head of what I wanted for the front cover,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted the image to uphold the story of my book, because my story is quite secretive. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted the front cover to portray that secretive. So I wanted a design on the front cover that would draw you in to want to find out more about it, but not tell you too much about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And a very
Yep.
looking,
That's the perfect thing on, because it's that draws you in and it makes you want more.
yeah. So I just created mood boards of little things that I liked. Then I pieced them all together, and I've always been quite good at drawing. So then I just got my pencils out and I started in one of my art books. I just started doing lots of different sketches of a design that I really liked until I got what I wanted, and then I went with that and got it printed.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So the whole process from the writing to the cover, I mean, the whole thing is you, and that is amazing. That has to be such a wonderful feeling.
It is a really wonderful feeling because it's just, well, it's the full experience.
Yeah.
You know, you've
Yeah.
really
Mhm.
given it your all, and you couldn't do any more.
Yeah. So
It's
what
like winning
advice?
gold in the
Oh, go
Olympics.
ahead. Sorry.
It's like winning gold in the Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. What advice would you give to somebody who's listening that maybe is interested in writing their first book, or even a short story? What advice would you give them about getting started?
So, if I was to give advice to someone, maybe even if they're just new to writing, the best advice I would give to them, especially just starting out, is start off with something simple.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't initially start off with a big novel idea because, yes, I did very well with my novel, but to first start off with a big novel, it's a lot of work, and yeah, it's hard to keep going with it. So I would start off like I did with just short assignments of probably
Mm-hmm.
no more than 2 pages long, and just pick something that you love and you really mean something personal to you,
Mm-hmm.
because those things that are more personal to you, the right words will come to you much more easily than something that's less personal to you. So you'll naturally connect with it better. and therefore the quality of your written piece is going to be a lot better. So another good point I point out is find a minimum of 3 authors who you really like, because they're going to be your inspiration and your help on your journey through writing. Even if you never meet those authors, just find those 3 that you can really inspire from and love their work, because then that will start your inspiration and that will help you to find your feet when you've got someone to look back on. Like for me, it's one of my absolute favorites is Tolkien. But yeah, those are the best advice I would recommend to someone.
Yeah. And that what you started with writing the 2 pages, that also, as you were talking, it made me think of how that forces you to be succinct about the topic too, right? You're choosing your words carefully because you don't have a lot of space. And that discipline, if you develop that discipline, it would seem to me over time that helps you with that, with your ability to tell the story that you want to tell.
Well, yeah, precisely that. Because not only does it help you to write, it also helps you to edit well, as you were explaining with not having much room for error.
Yeah,
It doesn't allow you to waffle on. So you have to be be clever with your wording to get your descriptions of like your characters out of the way very quickly so you can get into the main story. But if you can tell a short story in 2 pages from the description of a character to the story to the conclusion, then you're well on your way.
Yeah.
And then after you've done that a few times, if you get a good idea come for something bigger, perhaps like a novel, get yourself a notebook or several notebooks and just start writing down all your ideas. That's how I started. Before I even started writing the book, I just wrote down every idea I had, because most of the I had all the ideas, but they're all mixed up.
Yeah.
They're all coming at once. So some of the ideas that are at the beginning of my notebook are ideas that I included at the end of the story. So just any ones you get, just write them all down. And it doesn't matter if you don't use them, because you go through a process of writing, you're going to have tons of ideas. Some good, some not bad, or some are good, but over the time, as you develop your story, you can get little changes happening, and then you take elements from those ideas and combine them with other ideas. But always just write down everything that comes to mind, because there's nothing worse than trying to write where you've got all these ideas flowing through your head at the same time, because then you get a block in your mind because you're trying to write where you've got 100 ideas flowing around in your head and you go crazy. So just write it, clear your mind. To write, you've got to have a free mind.
Yeah, and that getting the ideas on paper frees up that space in your mind. And I've also found with myself is I forget ideas that I had. I completely forget. I think I'll remember later, but I don't. In writing them down, then I'll look back and be like, oh yeah, I remember that. And then it kind of helps me remember the train of thought I had versus if I just try to store it in my head and remember it later.
Yeah, it's exactly that.
Yeah. Well, Jamie, it's been so great to talk to you and learn more about you and your writing process in your book, The Prophecy. Before we close out, is there any last final thoughts you want to leave with the listeners today about your book?
Well, I'd just like to add to so I would just like to add to the writing experience that because I know there's many out of you who probably are writing a novel and maybe finding it hard going, because it's a lot of words and sometimes it can be hard going. The one message I'd like to say to people, because it can get scary, is if you reach a period of time where you feel like your thoughts are getting a little bit stuck, or you're feeling like you're stuck on a section, that's completely okay and it's perfectly natural. Just step away from it and do something else for a while. It doesn't even have to be writing related. Just go away, do something else for a bit and come back to it after a little while, and you'll find that your ideas are completely fresh. It happens to all the great writers, and it's happened to me myself. So don't be afraid if that happens, because even though it happened to me, look what I achieved, and I am so proud. So yeah, that's all I'd love to say to the audience.
Yeah, and that's such wonderful advice. And I just love talking to you and hearing about your writing process in your book. And also, I want to again congratulate you on the awards you've got. That's amazing for a first book. So congratulations to you.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't wish for more.
Yeah, yeah. You can find more about the book, The Prophecy, on Amazon, and I'll link to the book in the show notes. So be sure to check that out. You've been listening to the Books on Air podcast, brought to you on webtalkradio.net. You can also hear this podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts. I'm Sloan Fremont, and I hope you'll join us for the next Books on Air podcast. Remember, you never know who's going to be here, and you never know what we're going to talk about. Thank you so much for listening.